welcome to the 15th episode of The Window to Dubai.
Privileged.
I'm here with Paris Norris, who is originally from the UK, has come to Dubai. You've been an entrepreneur. You've now launched your own show. You want to shout out the name of the show and the handle and where people can find it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the show's called Guy in Dubai. At the moment, it's viewable on OSN's on-demand platform, Wavo. So that's a subscription-based on-demand platform, but the section that I'm on is called Asli, where it's actually free to view. Yeah. So Guy in Dubai is basically a show of all the extreme, exciting, wacky things that I can find in Dubai to do. So I'm trying to make it as entertaining as possible, but also useful to viewers in terms of if they want to go and try these things out, where to find them and what there is to do. Yeah,
and I think you kind of have a unique story, right? So I think let's go back all the way to UK. You were telling me that you basically left the UK within like an hour of graduating school. Like you pretty much just got on a plane and took off with you and a buddy.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was kind of a mistake because I went to the my last exam. I had this idea that I wanted to set up a business instead of getting a job. It was 2008 when, you know, the financial world was crashing, and in London it was really quite dire. You know, I'd been to an interview where it seemed to have gone really well, and I said, so, you know, what do you think my chances are? And he said, to be honest with you, Paris, we fired 8,000 people this month. And I was like, so, and I realized that they were just interviewing because they were told to just keep the process going, but nobody was getting hired. So I decided I want to set up a business and I want to do it abroad, and there's got to be places that are faster moving than London right now because London was just crashing. Yeah. And I was coming out of university with a finance degree. So I went to I planned my trip to Dubai. This was where me and my friend decided that we were going to search for opportunities. We had believed that we had funding for this business. It turned out that we didn't, but at that time, but we thought we had funding to do it. So I had gone to my last exam and I turned up in the exam room and I realized I've got the wrong day. It's tomorrow. So I realized that the exam was actually directly before my flight. So I was like, well, if I can take my bags to the exam, then I can probably leave just in time to get there. And as I was leaving, like Pete was like, Paris, like I'm on the plane, hurry up. And I managed to get on the plane. We came over here. We met with the head regulators of the DIFC. This is where we thought that we were going to set up our business. You know, we didn't realize that it was a place where all the big giant banks were, and you know, there's me and him with, you know, hardly any capital trying to set up something. But we had a reality check, and you know, I think there's something quite sweet about the naivety you have when you don't have any experience.
Yeah. Ignorance is bliss sometimes. Yeah,
it is, because you believe that you can do things that you probably can't. But the thing is, it's good that you try. I would never say to anybody like, oh, you're naive, don't do it. Like, it's good to be naive, and I've always kept a little bit of naivety with me. I always felt that I could just do anything. Anyway, the long and short of it is we got laughed at most of the places that we went to, but we decided that Dubai was a interesting story and that it was going to continue growing, and we thought that there's a place that we had to be. So later I got the investment on, and I moved to the Middle East, although I moved to Oman initially, and then moved to Dubai. But I set up a tech business, and then I did various different businesses. I always continued with the entrepreneurial street. That's what I consider myself as an entrepreneur. You know, I don't like to use that terminology because it's a bit wishy-washy. You know, you hear a lot of people who
everyone's an entrepreneur.
Everybody's an entrepreneur. They don't have a job, therefore they're an entrepreneur. So I don't like to use that term, but I've always considered myself a guy who can see opportunities and set up businesses. I don't think I'm necessarily a guy that can run them. I'm not proven yet in that. I do want to be able to say that one day that I'm able to run businesses and take them from small to big. I would like to say that, but I've not proven that. But I have proven that I can come up with ideas, set them up, and create businesses to the point where they're making money. So that was my journey before, in brief.
Yeah, and you kind of at some point had an epiphany that you wanted to do something, that you didn't want to just work for money and trade time anymore and kind of do what you were doing to start these businesses because it's a lot of time, and that you kind of wanted to live a life that was around what you really wanted to do. And it kind of prompted the show, even though it didn't happen right away. We'll talk more about kind of that moment.
Absolutely. So Guy in Dubai is really a manifestation of me realizing that life is for living, and that there's more to life than just work. That's really it. And I would love to inspire other people the same message.
Yeah.
So as much as I want to show people the fun things to do in Dubai, I also want to inspire people to maybe go and do that thing that they've always wanted to do this weekend. Maybe it's salsa dancing. Maybe they want to learn to skydive, you know, whatever it is, but go and do it now, because we can't keep leaving things till later, you know.
Yeah.
So it really came out of the business experiences I'd had, really, when one business had just gone kaput and had gone down the drain after I put so much effort into it. And there I am, I think I was turning 30 soon. And by my predictions, I was meant to be a billionaire already. But here I am, still broke, nothing really to say for myself. And, you know, all these ideas that I had everyone's always excited when I start a new business, and they're like, oh, Paris is giving it a go. You know, I've fallen on my face again. And not only that, I had made some sacrifices, and in particular, it was a personal situation where my girlfriend at the time, her mother had a terminal illness, and she really wanted me to come down to their family home and spend it with her mother, because it could have been her last Christmas. And my mum agreed to go, but I didn't. Yeah. And I decided that I've got to get this business off the ground. I've got to make sacrifices. And that was a pretty bad Christmas day, to be honest. And then when the business had gone down the drain 3 months later, I really thought, I can't keep going on putting in these sacrifices to reach the pot of gold at the end, and not enjoying any time in between. Yeah. You know, I'm thinking, I'm already 30. How long can I keep doing that for? Because this could go on forever. So I thought, I've got to make the result the business. Yeah. You know, whatever it is that I would want to do at the end has got to be what I'm doing to make money. It's got to be the passion. And it took some time for me to think, well, what is it that I really want? You know, what is that thing? Yeah. Because I think a lot of people, including myself at the time, really believe they want things that they don't necessarily want, but it's kind of imposed on us by culture and by certainly when you go to university, everybody just talks about like how they're gonna, you know, be the next Warren Buffett and things like this, because this is what we're kind of fed to believe. But is that really what you would want to do if given a totally blank slate to say that money wasn't a problem for you? You don't have to work for it. What would you do with your life? You know, what would enrich it? Yeah. So as I thought about that, you know, I had to think, well, there's a lot of experiences I love to do. A lot of things I love to try: skydiving, adventure sports. I was always adventurous. I love to do challenges, you know, like climb Mount Everest and all these types of things. Simple things like just being able to spend more time with my family than I currently do was in the mix. So I looked at all this and thought, okay, well, these are the things that I really want in life. How do I make money from it? And to be honest, making money from it seemed obvious to me. I was like, okay, well, I can create a little show, and I can probably speak to a network, and I've got a connection there, and if they've got an audience, then I can get sponsorship on board, and if I'm showing people the fun things to do in Dubai and around the world, then people will be interested in that from a viewer point of view. Yeah. So figuring out the business behind it took me about 10-15 seconds, you know. Yeah. But the realization that I needed to do that took me 30 years. And then it didn't happen straight away, but now it's up and running. We've shot season 1. We've done very well in terms of viewership on OSN's on-demand platform. They've told me that we're number 1 on their platform for local content. Oh wow! And we're now shooting season 2. I just shot a video where I was racing in the Victory Team powerboat, which was they've won 24 world championships in that boat. Yeah. It's the fastest boat in the world. And what's crazy is when I'm sat there in the cockpit holding the driving wheel, I'm thinking I've been here before, because I visualize these things. This is that like a deja vu moment. Yeah, absolutely. That particular episode I'd already had envisaged 3 years ago. I knew about these boats and I wanted to do it. Again, with a few other things that we've done along the way, even meetings that I've had with networks where I've got particular people in the room where I'm like, I've been here before. Wow. I've visualized this almost to the T. You know, I was like, well, the table was square, but now it's round, but whatever, you know.
Yeah.
Like I've visualized a lot of what we're doing. And when we do episodes like that, I always point to my partner and say, I've been here before. And he knows what I mean, because he knows I dream about these things. I dream about the things that we're going to do. Yeah.
That's awesome to have that connection. Yeah. Your show is also, it's not just about, I mean, it's also Dubai related, but from what I saw, it's also kind of adventure sports stuff, to where even if you're not interested in Dubai, it would be interesting to people not even just in Dubai, right? Because you're kind of showing the behind the scenes and how it works, and kind of giving the full picture into the boat and everything that's happening.
Absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, first and foremost, it's meant to be informational to people who live in Dubai or want to come to Dubai in terms of things to do. We want it to be entertaining to anybody. You know, who wouldn't find, you know, that kind of thing, you know, entertaining? And the great thing is Dubai and the UAE is a brand in itself.
It really is, yeah.
Like, I'm not doing the work here, you know. The work's been done for me. You know, they're not coming to watch me, Paris Norris, in that episode. They're coming to watch that silly guy in a powerboat. You know what I mean? And that's laid on by this country and this city. And so the things that we can do here are incredible. That there's no better playground for me in the world to do this type of stuff. So whoever you are around the world, even if you've never been to Dubai or have no connection with Dubai, you can look at the world's longest zip line and find that entertaining. Or, you know, we did hot air ballooning in the desert. You know, it's absolutely stunning episode. People find these things interesting because they're experiences that, you know, we have them all in one place here, but you don't get all of those things elsewhere in the world.
Yeah. And you kind of sound like you've combined your passion of life, of living, and turned it into a business, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I try and inspire my friends, because I've got a lot of friends who work in jobs that I think they feel is not really their true passion. And maybe they know their passion, and quite often they don't. But when they know their passion, to sort of say, come on, give it a go.
Yeah.
Like, that's your passion. That's what you're going to be successful in. A lot of people, despite knowing their passion and wanting to succeed at that, need the stability and the reliability and structure of a job. And I'm lucky that I've always been fairly comfortable taking those risks and not having that. But a lot of people can't do it.
Yeah, you have to have a certain level of comfort in being uncomfortable, I think, to be pursuing whether it's being an entrepreneur or pursuing your own passion, because you almost have to give up a good life, take a step backwards, I don't want to say, I don't know the right way, but eat it for a year, and then it pays the reward, and it can be great, but there's that 6 month to 12-month period where it's uncomfortable, but it ends up being great. It's just, can you make that sacrifice, you know?
Yeah, well, I think at some point you have to make a jump. If you've got a job going on and you're just trying to get your passion up and going, at some point your passion project will need your full attention but can't pay you properly yet. Or is just not reliable enough, but will never get there unless you make the jump. And so you have to take that jump at some point. But when you make that jump, that's, as you were saying to me earlier, that's when your survival instinct starts kicking in. You need to be up against it. You need to be worried about how the money's going to come through to pay the rent. You need to be worried, because that really twists the knife.
You get really creative in those moments. When you're, I have a saying that I say sometimes, it's amazing what human beings are capable of when they have no choice. When you have no choice but to figure it out, it's amazing what you can suddenly do. Like just the natural instinct or strength or creativity or outside the box thinking, suddenly you'll find the solution.
Well, there was a point I remember when it was about summer last year when I was given a dead end, and I called up my ex-girlfriend, who's still one of my best friends, and I said, I think I may have to go back to the UK. I don't know what I'm going to do. And she said, we had spoken for a bit and I was going to continue. She said to me, Paris, if you're really stuck, I can lend you some money. And I said, no, I think I need to struggle. I think I need to feel this.
Yeah.
And I didn't borrow any money or anything. And I just, I had an office that I managed to sort of waggle free for a year, you know, and I'd jog to work, and and I remember just feeling it, and I wanted to feel it. There were easier ways to do it, you know. I could have done it an easier way, but it was good to feel the crunch, because I went to work thinking, I've got to achieve something today. You know, I've got to do something. I've got to get myself out of this.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it's interesting right now because the world is changing a lot from what used to be a very centralized media world, where we'd have to do things through the big TV channels or the big magazines in order to get any exposure. And the world's changed now so that social media is taking place, so everybody has a channel.
Yeah.
You know,
I just created my own show one day.
There we go.
I was just like, hey, we're going to call it the window to Dubai. Let's just start. Let's buy some microphones and start inviting people.
There we go. Here we are on your show. We've done it, and we're on my show too.
Yeah.
We're on the it's a lot easier on social media now. So it's interesting because what I find interesting is now that I'm having to learn a little bit about the TV world and how people license content rather than the social media world, which I also understand. I guess it's one of the things I've come to learn from this process is, as a content creator, you have to identify whether you are a professional content creator or have the ability to be a professional content creator, or whether you're an amateur content creator. Because, for example, if you're going to spend a huge amount of money and you're going to create something like Game of Thrones, it really doesn't pay off if what you want to do is put that on social media as your medium.
Yeah.
So if you've got the ability to do something, okay, Game of Thrones is the very top there, but if you're going to do anything that's quality content, then I feel now social media has almost become a distraction for those people, because a lot of good content creators go straight to social media, straight to YouTube. They know that people are making, big money on there and they can get big viewership, but they are going straight to YouTube with their creativity, which I think is a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you have that creativity and that ability to do things of a higher level than amateur content, then there's a lot more money to be made in the world of licensing it. At the end of the day, people still pay a lot of big money for movies, for series, and people are paying in different ways now, through on-demand, still through TV. But if you, as a content creator, are making that, there's so many more avenues for you to put your content. But if you're doing quality content, you need to be thinking about licensing it. And if you're in the amateur phase, or you want to stay as the amateur phase, because people like that area. Like, for example, Casey Neistat, he's done professional content on networks, but he's decided to stick with amateur content on vlogs and do it to a better level than most vlogs. But what that means is he's now pressured to do a lot of regular content in order to be successful. Now, that takes a lot of time, and that means that obviously the quality of your content comes down, rather than if you were doing 12 episodes every 3 months for a series or something. You can obviously put a lot more into that. So I guess that's something that I've realized, having taken my content first to TV, and I haven't put it on social media yet because I'm still trying to leverage upon the avenues I have to license it. Yeah. So that's a realization I've had in terms of content creating, is ask yourself, am I professional or am I amateur? And if you're professional, you've got to be looking into licensing your content.
I think a lot of people don't. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I don't know the difference. I've always just done social media, so you educated me a little bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I mean, what's really crucial to keep your eyes on what the big players are doing now, because if you're a content creator, Amazon are coming up with something. Facebook are coming up with something new, Facebook Watch, you know.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube is still a big player. You've now got Netflix and other on-demand licensed platforms. So there's so many different places you can play with it. And you have to sort of think, what is right for my content? Where is the area where I'll do the best? And it doesn't necessarily have to be one, it could be many. But there's so many more avenues to look at, and it's, I think, crucial to have an eye on what's about to happen. You know, what is Amazon about to do?
Yeah.
What is what is Instagram about to do?
Yeah.
In order to know your direction.
Nice. You want to shout out how people can find you again on Instagram, your handles, where people can find you?
Yeah, so you can check me out. My social channels are @GuyInDubai, and my production, the full episodes, are on Wavo, and you'll find me there on Guy in Dubai as well.
All right, I think that's a great episode. I really appreciate having you on.
A pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.